Hello guys, it's Ryan here with Hobbies and Man once again, and today we're going to be doing another manga review. We're going to be looking at Spy Family. We're going to be looking at the first 10 chapters, which are the first 3 arcs. I was trying to figure out a good way to publish these or to kind of review these, because ultimately the thing with Spy Family is that a lot of their arcs are basically 2 chapters, 3 chapters, and so making a video for 3 chapters is kind of ridiculous. It's like a lot of effort for very kind of minimal amount of storytelling. So I think I'm gonna do it at least 10 chapters per video. So we'll see how that works. It might be that some days it's 1 arc. It might be that some days it's 5 arcs. It really depends on how the storytelling is done. So yeah, Spy Family, volumes 1 and 2 basically. So volume 1 contains the first 2 chapters, which are the intro arc, and then chapters 3 to 5. And then 6 and 7 are here, which is the second arc. And then from 7 to 10 is the third arc. And that ends back here near the end of the volume. So yeah, the author here is Tatsuya Endo. The publisher is Viz Media. So you guys can see right there, it's a Shonen Jump title. So the demographic is Shonen. The genres here are spy, slice of life, and comedy. And adaptation-wise, it has one and it's very good. It's very popular and a lot of people like it. So yeah, in terms of a rating, it's a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, but ultimately it's not the highest level of entertainment that I've ever gotten from a manga, so it is what it is. Now, the premise here is basically there's this Cold War-esque kind of world. I think it centers on a place that is similar to post-World War II Berlin, post the wall falling down, post all of that stuff, where we're treating the world as this kind of like area of deep and concerning levels of spy shit happening all over the place, right? Basically, the West is trying to spy on the East, and specifically, we're following one spy whose name is Lloyd, or actually his name is Twilight, but his code name for the vast majority of the series is Lloyd, who has an infiltration mission, and he has to actually infiltrate a school, so he needs a wife and he needs a daughter, and so hijinks ensue, and it's really, really fun. However, a lot of people characterize Lloyd as a James Bond type character, and I think he's more of a Man from U.N.C.L.E. type character. It's not very big of a difference, but it is kind of a difference that I think is relatively important. So there you go. But I quite like him. And then we have an assassin character, and then we have the little telepath, which is the girl Anya. So yeah, looking at the plot line here, the first arc, in the introduction arc, chapters 1 and 2, basically we show Lloyd being a badass. We introduce him, we get a new mission assigned. We learn what it is that his mission is, which is, you know, infiltrate the school, get assigned to a meaningful position at the school, where like his daughter should get assigned to a meaningful position in the school, so that they can infiltrate a specific party, so they can find a specific guy that Lloyd has to deal with in some way. He doesn't have to take him out, he has to get information out of him, and it's important that he does that. So in order to do that, he needs a kid, and so he goes to an orphanage. He picks up Anya, who happens to be a telepath, and her age is undisclosed, but it does seem like she is the age necessary, but she's just kind of ridiculous and dumb and stupid, and it's really, really funny. I really like her as a character. And so the rest of the chapter deals with relationship building between Anya and Lloyd, and then we get introduced to Yor, who then ends up joining the family through a very convoluted process that's really, really fun. And there's an amazing scene where Lloyd basically proposes to Yor with a ring used for a bomb as an explosion goes off behind them, and it's great. It's a really great image. It should really be promotional material type image for this story, because it's really, really fun. In terms of the arc, that's basically all there is here. So moving on to arc 2, it's the admissions interview arc, which is chapters 3 to 6, so 4 chapters, I think. 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. And basically here we start with Yor moving into the house, living with them together, and initially we just get a lot of slice of life type stuff. Basically, Yor and Lloyd take Anya out on a date in order to try to get her used to the fact that, hey, we're kind of trying to get into this school that's for very high-class people, so we have to do things that high-class people would do, like go to really fancy restaurants, go to the opera, go to art museums, do all sorts of stuff like that, right? Which in a modern day is basically what anyone can do, but it's still kind of difficult to do it for all the time, right? But it's really good at establishing, hey, we need to convey this sense of status in class, so we need to practice this and we have to do it together. And mostly it develops into having them bond a lot, which is really, really fun. I really enjoy the aspect of that, where they just take the time to, hey, we need to bond them. We need to make sure that this is a found family. So that's gonna take a while to do. And it's really fun. Eventually, Anya takes the admissions exam. She passes, barely. And they go to this interview process. But before they actually get to the process, they have to deal with a bunch of crazy hijinks. And we get introduced to this crazy guy called Henry Henderson, who is an old man, kind of a Dumbledorian type character. But he's all about elegance, and he's really ridiculous, and he's really funny. I quite like him as a character as well. And then they eventually do get into their interview, and there's a lot of tense situations here where there's this guy that's just completely antagonistic and is causing everyone to be angry at him, and it's causing Lloyd and Yor to have very negative reactions. And Anya also ends up having to deal with this, and basically this is actually a very key moment for the family where they become part of each other, like more holistic. They really embrace each other's love or interest in each other, I guess. And I really like, there's a lot of good emotions here with that. Then there was a slight issue with the fact that she wasn't actually accepted. She got to get to the interview. She basically ended up at the top of the wait list. And so now they have to wait. But it's a very mild moment. It's mostly for a comedy kind of bit. And then eventually they move on and they actually get to be in the school. And the arc ends with that, and it's really fun and really well done. In terms of arc 3, we get introduced to the Eden's beginning arc, basically, which is chapter 7 through 10. Another 4-chapter arc. And here we start with getting a uniform for Anya, which is basically the same kind of vibe that she's been wearing. It's this like cute little like slip dress, but it has this really interesting band of design at the bottom. And these characters have like basically like almost military dress, but kind of like also a little bit like Harry Potter kind of outfits, and it's fun. I really like it. I think the design for the outfits is good. So yeah. Mostly we get family time between Anya and Yor. They develop as a group. They kind of join forces. They kind of enjoy each other's company, and it's really, really good. Yor actually gives a lot of advice to Anya, but the thing is that Anya is not good at understanding what they mean, and so when she uses advice, she actually ends up kind of not doing it correctly, and it's pretty funny. And so eventually they get the commencement ceremony going. They get introduced to 2 possible paths. Basically, Anya can either get merits, become a exemplary student in order to join the ranks, or she can become friends with the son of the character that they have to get, whose name is Damien, and that way they can get into his house eventually, right? However, it's kind of gonna be a kind of difficult thing to do, right? So Damien gets introduced, and he's a really funny, kind of Draco Malfoy-esque, like, oh, I'm the best kind of stupid kid. And he's also, I really like how he's drawn. He's really funny. And then eventually Anya and him have a very ridiculous confrontation, very childish confrontation, but also works really well, and I quite like it. I think it's really, really funny. And well, it's a rough start for Anya and her plan, and so it is what it is. Then we get more family time, and then it's the start of the first school day. And so Anya gets in there. She becomes friends with Becky Blackwell, I think is her name. And Becky spends the whole day stopping Anya from apologizing to Damien, which was the key moment that was necessary in order for Anya and Damien to become friends. Eventually, she does manage to do it, and it works out really, really well. But ultimately, I'm not really sure where the story is going since I haven't been able to read further. And it's really fun. There's a lot of rough moments for the family, but ultimately there's a lot of growth, and I really, really like it. I think it's great. I really enjoy this story a lot. It's really, really fun. In terms of characters, we get Lloyd, who, like I said, is more of a man from uncle type story or type of character. He's not necessarily a suave, high society type dude. He's more of an actual spy. Like James Bond is not exactly a spy. He's more of at least a modern interpretation. He's more of just a guy that happens to be able to blend in with a very high society level type class. And he then does, action shit afterwards. But he's not necessarily actually a spy. He's more like a very kind of oddly specific type of special ops type of guy. And Lloyd is more of a traditional type of spy. He does things behind the scenes. He does things hidden away. But it works really well. Overall, I quite like that. Then we have Anya, who has telepathic abilities. I can't really find a parallel to her. She's not exactly like Jean Grey. She's not really like any other character that has telepathic abilities that I can think of. So it is what it is. But I like her. I think she's fun. Overall, her comedy elements are great. Her timing and her faces are ridiculous, and I like it a lot. Yor is more of a femme fatale type of character, a dragon lady maybe. Some sort of Black Widow type of character that works really well. I quite like her. I also really enjoy that she has a very naive but gentle kind of vibe to her that works really, really well, which is funny because it completely contrasts with the fact that she's a crazy psycho killer, right? So it works. I quite like it. Then we have Frankie, who is Lloyd's man in the chair, basically. Old man Henderson, who is this crazy guy. Damien and Becky. And that's basically all the characters that matter. And they're all pretty fun. In terms of world building, we don't really get too much. It's basically just a setting. It's Cold War style Berlin. There's things happening. There's two sides. And then there's a lot of hidden paranoia and military kind of secret operations happening all the time. And it's cool. It's pretty interesting. And there's also kind of this ridiculous school, which is interesting and fun, but it's almost like a magic school type thing. It's like a private school, but there is no magical aspect. So it is mostly just a private school, and it works well. I quite like it. In terms of artwork and fan service, well, there is no fan service, so that's cool. It's pretty enjoyable for a vast majority of people. And in terms of the artwork, I think it's amazing. It's really, really good. It manages to capture action scenes well. It manages to capture emotional moments amazingly. And it also has a lot of good comedy to it without being overly simplistic, like One Punch Man when it does the funny stuff, or like Mashal, who does kind of a similar thing. So it's nice because it still manages to be pretty highly detailed while also being comedic, and I quite like that. I think that's a really, really good thing to kind of point out there. In terms of the rating, it's a 4 out of 5. Like I said, it's really, really good, but it's not the highest enjoyment. And some of the comedy is subjective. Some of it made me laugh a lot, and some of it just didn't work for me at all. And that's just kind of how it is, right? So it is what it is. That's my kind of like opinions here on the first 3 arcs of Spy Family. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below to me any thought. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.